Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal International. I'm called Maureen Z. We'll begin with our top stories. After 1 year, 6 months of captivity, Fon Shumintang Kevin II of Bambalang, a northwest region of Cameroon, has been set free this morning. The confirmation has been made this afternoon in Bamenda by the governor Adolphe Lafrique of the northwest region in a declaration to the press in Bamenda today. And the government of Cameroon has exerted pressure on Gaz du Cameroon to drop the 20% increase in the prices of its products. Gaz du Cameroon is known to have unilaterally increased the price based on what it called production cost. Arugobe Song Bahanak has unveiled the list of 22 players to take part in a friendly encounter against Mexico on the 11th of June. Those are our major stories. Details right ahead.
Canal International.
Good evening once more. After 1 year, 6 months in captivity, Fon Shumintang Kevin II of Bambalang and Gokichinja Northwest, a region of Cameroon, has been set free this morning. The confirmation has been made in a communique made this afternoon by the governor of the Northwest region, Adolphe Lafrique. Fon Shumintang Kevin II was kidnapped by armed separatist fighters in his own village, Bambalang, while on a trip to chair some cultural activities in December 2021. Reports say he was set free unharmed during an operation carried out by defense and security forces between Kumbo and Mbiame in the Mbui division, far from Bambalang, where he is long believed to have been kept. The locality of his liberation, sharing common borders with other neighboring villages, will come back. The Fon, who is also president of the Northwest House of Chiefs, has been taken to the West region, from where he is expected to be conveyed to Bamenda in the days or hours ahead. His liberation comes barely a few days after one of his subjects and fierce separatists, a fighter and a junior brother to dreaded separatists, Sodo General Nopiti Shaina Rambo, surrendered to defense and security forces and currently being held at the B camp in Bamenda with his set of twin daughters. Come back to that in our subsequent newscast. We stay in the Northwest to talk about news in the Northwest region of Cameroon, but this time around we talk about women that are leading in the statistics in terms of a number of victims of the protracting conflicts in the Northwest and Southwest regions of Cameroon. According to the ministry in charge of promotion of women empowerment and the family, it is urgent to ensure protection for women as the crisis rages on. More on the story with our reporter Saleh Sharifa.
National statistics from non-governmental organizations have stated that the crisis in the Northwest regions and Southwest regions is affecting mostly the female gender. They are more exposed to acts of violence and trauma on a daily basis.
Have the capacity, the skills required to provide quality services, treating mental consequences of gender-based violence and other mental health issues that populations are experiencing, to ensure they are able to provide quality services, but also in line with international standards and guidelines.
Cameroonian government concern about the mental health of these women in conflict zones is waging a fierce fight with its partners against gender-based violence in the Northwest and Southwest regions. We had the opportunity to work on the field with women who are going through violence. Since December till now, we have been able to identify 58 women who have undergone acts of violence and trauma. This workshop, which will hold from May 31st to June 2, aims to train civil society organizations to provide the necessary tools to these men and women of goodwill who will work every day to bring smiles to women victims of gender-based violence in English-speaking areas. Allowing women victims of war violence to find a normal, secured and fulfilled life is the challenge of this initiative of the MINPROF.
And the far north region of Cameroon is facing a resurgence of attacks attributed to Boko Haram. This is why the governor of the far north region of Cameroon calls for the mobilization of the population against Boko Haram terror. He has equally urged defense and security forces to redouble their vigilance to counter the fresh terrorist threat. More on the story with our reporter, Salih Sharifa.
The governor of the far north region, Mijiawa Bakari, is requesting for the massive mobilization of the population following recent deadly Boko Haram incursions in the region. The call comes on the heels of the latest deadly attack by the terrorist group in Mora, on the border with Nigeria. Security sources say on Monday night the jihadists targeted a mixed checkpoint at the entrance into the town, killing 4 people, including a civilian. Governor Mijiawa says it is up to the population to mobilize, stay on the alert, and immediately report any instances of suspicious behavior and movements of strange persons in their localities. He also urged the defense and security forces to redouble their vigilance to counter the fresh terrorist threat the far north is facing, a resurgence of attacks attributed to Boko Haram. According to newspaper reports, a soldier was killed earlier Tuesday in Zigage by suspected Boko Haram terrorists. Before then, on Sunday, a civilian was killed when members of the terrorist group raided the locality of Ngechewe in the Mayotanaga division. Governor Mijiawa says Boko Haram might have been weakened, but warns the terrorist group is not finished yet. Last April, the Minister of Defense, Joseph Betiasomo, announced the reinforcement of security measures in the far north to check the resurgence of Boko Haram activities.
And the government of Cameroon has exerted pressure on the gas du Cameroon to drop the 20% increase in the prices of its products. Gas du Cameroon is known to have unilaterally increased the price based on what it called production costs. Ketan Henry Atembe completes the story.
The unilateral decision by Gas du Cameroon to increase price of natural gas has hit the rock as Trade Minister has called on the failure of Victoria Oil and Gas to drop the 20% increase. What could be the reason behind such a decision to increase the prices?
Once the state has fixed the price, everybody dealing with those products will have to align to the regulated price. Now, with the inflation increasing every day, prices of everything going up, if the company discovers that they cannot succeed, they cannot make profits at the level of the prices now, they cannot on their own go to increase the price beyond what the state has regulated.
But according to Gas du Cameroon, the reason for the hike are twofold. Firstly, they bank the argument on production cost. Another reason is that Gas du Cameroon is going through financial problems as it is owing huge debts to its shareholders.
With changes over time, the prices of their raw materials, of the things that they use to produce the final product, their own prices also go up. So if at the time that those prices were fixed, they were low, and today they are now above the normal level, then it is just that time and again the state will go back to the drawing board and then increase as inflation increases.
This situation has caused a trouble at the London stock market where it is listed. The present financial performance of Gas du Cameroon has posed a big risk to many companies that depend on it for their production.
And parents in Cameroon have decried economic hardship as one of the impediments to sustaining a solid families. A majority see it's difficult to fend for their families today in a context characterized by economic hardship, digitalization, and a lot more. Parents were reacting today, observed as International Day of Parents. More in the following story.
They are all parents with the objective of fending for their families, but economic hardship caused by high cost of living, skyrocketing prices of foodstuff, high rents, difficult access to healthcare, high cost of education, and a lot more continue to weaken the responsibilities of parents towards their families. These daily challenges are described as a nightmare in a society where unemployment is rife.
Avec la vie chère,
with economic hardship, parents can't cope with families. Prices of basic commodities are increasing every day on the market. Education is expensive, and we are in an African society. How do you cope with the extended family? It's difficult.
les parents sont partagés entre eux.
Our responsibility as parents is to ensure that our children have a better life, good education, food on the table, and a lot more. But with the present economic hardship, it's difficult to fend for our families. Some parents say the most difficult is getting a job with good earnings that will enable them put food on the table. In the absence of these, it becomes difficult balancing work and family life, dealing with stress and raising children in the digital age. Another problem is managing a household on a budget, teaching children about money and helping them stay safe online. Parents are disturbed and frustrated by all these.
L'augmentation du coût de vie a eu un impact sur nos familles.
Most parents are trapped between economic hardship, unemployment, and again we have the digital era. Just this staff increase in salary. How do you cope to fend for the family? Parents believe the only solution is from government.
J'implore aussi les...
I think one of the solutions is for government to come in. The first is to reduce the cost of goods of basic commodities in markets, and again subsidize costs of things like rents and even education. As the world commemorates the Day for Parents, their role in building a solid society is being encouraged.
And former Minister of State in charge of National Education, Charles Borome Etundi, is no more. He died at the Yaoundé General Hospital last night after a long period of sickness at his family residence at the Omispo neighborhood. Is total mourning. More with high censure.
A gloomy atmosphere here at the residence of Charles Borome Etundi as the family mourns his departure. The gate widely open as inhabitants of the Omispo neighborhood in Yaoundé rush in to dish out their condolences to the wife and children. The former Minister of Public Health, former Minister of State in charge of National Education, is remembered here in pictures portraying his life. Quitting the scene at 78, the former principal of Lycée Jos in Douala and Lycée Leclerc in Yaoundé gave up the ghost at about 11 p.m. at the Yaoundé Regional Hospital, where he had served as board chair some years back. The statesman has been on the sick bed for years before his final departure to the land of no return.
J'étais tout pour lui, il était tout pour moi.
I was all to him and vice versa. He has been very sick for 2 years. We moved from one hospital to another, and even traditional medicine to no avail. He finally died. He was dear to our hearts. I don't know if I shall ever have another father like him.
Vous comprenez que c'est un papa très cher pour nous. Je suis entre père d'un papa. Je ne sais pas si j'aurai encore un papa un jour.
And having been conferred many traditional caps in different communities of Cameroon, his traditional store on this day is vacant as the custodian is no more.
Rigobe Song Bahanak has unveiled the list of 22 players to take part in a friendly encounter against Mexico on the 11th of June 2023. A list with many key players not included. Let's move over to the Faker Foods Center where the press conference is taking place. Hi, Sencha. Hello.
Welcome to the Feka Food Center here at Oja, where the head coach Rigobert Song-Bahana has just unveiled a list of 22 players to take part in the friendly encounter between Cameroon and Mexico. In America, it will be the 10th of June, but here in Cameroon, it will be the 11th, precisely 3 a.m. And of course, among the 22 players called up, we have the surprise return of Fabrice Ondua, 2017 AFCON winner. I'm here with Siani Abubakar. What is the major surprise you got from Rigobert Song's list?
Yeah, good evening. The surprise is the coming back of Fabrice Ondua, as you did mention. Another surprise is the coming back of this guy, they called him Kulu Nicola. There were many talk about him, that he's going to be off, but he's on. And coming back of Fai Collins, he was absent during the 2 games that the Lions had. The coming back of Mbaizidara, that was also absent. The coming back of, the newcomer, somebody like Enzo Chato, the son of Charlie Chato. He's there. He has never been with the senior team. He's there. Just to name again, somebody like Bahoken that is making his comeback, and Bukele Mbutu that is also there. Umar Gonzalez. These young guys that are back. And
just to say, those are players that are coming back, and we equally notice the absence of key players like Vincent Abubakar, Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting. But the coach has given convincing reasons because they are still kind of engaged in club assignments. And with these key players absent and with the new guys coming in, we know it is a friendly encounter, but then we need results. Do you think the game plan that will be put in place will be able to contain our opponent?
Well, you needed those guys. Abubakar, the coach did mention he have a game on the 7th of June. He cannot play on the 7th, travel on the 8th, to arrive on the 9th, to play on the 10th. It's very difficult for a professional to be that way. So they've given him the chance to have a rest and come back in the next campaign that is going to be a direct eliminated game. So somebody like Maxim Choupo-Moting, he had a small injury. They want to have him 100% during the next game, the qualifier game. So somehow, somewhere, I am okay with the coach for that.
Thank you so much, Hai Sencha, and that brings us to the end of this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal International. Thanks so much for watching. But coming up next is the brief with Lil Piaget. I'll be back same time tomorrow. Good night.